we have with us Mr. Prashant Kataria, who will enlighten us on the NFTs in India. For the benefit of Mr. Prashant and the members who are new to the webinar or FTCCI, we have a small video presentation on FTCCI.
(1917), the year when a dedicated organization, the Deccan Chamber of Commerce, was formed to encourage trade and commerce activities. The historical journey of the organization has witnessed great transformation as per the changing needs of the industry and businesses. The Federation of Telangana Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FTCCI, a legacy of excellence, voice of the industry, representing interests of over 25,000 businesses of all sizes, sectors and regions, is empowering industry and trade of Telangana state. A world leader in pharma, a global hub for vaccine, home to all major MNCs, leader in IT exports, an emerging first stop of India. FTCCI advocates a pro-business environment, caters to the needs of MSMEs, budding entrepreneurs and traders through its advisory services in taxation, market information, industry-related issues, B2B connection. The Chamber has its nominees in the state-level advisory committees to help drive business productivity. FTCCI aids in providing certificate of origin for exporters, issues visa recommendation for business travels. The Federation imparts job skills through its dedicated skills center. It has adopted 14 government ITIs to improve the employability of students. With a uniquely global perspective, the FTCCI events reach a highly engaged audience, policymakers and stakeholders aiming towards Atmanirbhar Bharat.
FTCCI to work with government, tell us and guide us कि हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं to remain competitive, to remain better than our competition. FTCCI for joining us, and I thank the office bearers of FTCCI for inviting me. Jai Telangana, Jai Hind.
Come and be a part of this dynamic and proactive organization. Together, let's realize the vision for a progressive future.
Thank you. I now request Mr. Anil Agarwal, President FTCCI, to give his welcome address.
Unmute.
Please unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Mr. Prashant Kataria ji, partner, Kinstub and Kasiva, advocates and attorneys in the corporate practice Bangalore. My colleague Mila Jaydev, Senior Vice President, Mohan Raidu, Chair of ICT Committee, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Very good evening to all of you. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the webinar on NFTs in India, legal implications. My special welcome to Mr. Prashant Kataria. The webinar is intended to help people and organizations understand the importance of NFTs and its legal implications. NFTs, they are called as non-fungible tokens, have caught the attention of one and many and literally gone viral amongst artists, creators, and connoisseurs. They are primarily used to verify ownership in order to prevent replication and pilferage of creative work, and is based on blockchain technology and smart contracts. Since this is a relatively new technology, questions have arisen around their legality and authenticity in India, which need to be addressed given the current legal framework to ensure compliance and enforceability. Our learned speaker, Mr. Prashant Kataria, will enlighten on this. The increasing passion for learning about NFTs also draws the limelight towards the advantages of NFTs to develop a better understanding of the new types of tokens. It has the essential features of indivisibility, uniqueness, provenance, transparency, and rarity in NFTs. The benefits of NFTs encourage people to learn more about them. The foremost advantage of non-fungible tokens is evident in the proof of ownership. Since NFTs are on a blockchain network, they can help in associating ownership to a single account. Most important of all, NFTs are indivisible and could not be distributed among multiple owners. At the same time, the ownership advantages of NFTs ensure that buyers are safe from the concerns of fake NFTs. The final and the most important entry among the advantages of NFTs refers to the support for inclusive growth. As NFTs bring content creators from all fields into one ecosystem, they can facilitate new avenues for inclusive growth for all participants. The webinar will help you in providing a detailed overview of the advantages of non-fungible tokens and its potential. I once again welcome you all and request you to take advantage of this webinar and get clarified all the doubts during the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anil Agarwal, President FTCCI. I now request Mr. K. Mohan Raidu, Chair ICT Committee, to address and introduce the speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Kulkarni. I'm happy to add my words of welcome to you all to this webinar on NFTs in India, legal implications. My special welcome to Mr. Prashant Kataria, partner, King Stab and Kasiva, advocates and attorneys in the corporate practice at Bangalore. In fact, our past president, Mr. Ramakant Inani, shared with me an article on NFTs from the Hindu newspaper that was written by Mr. Prashant. He asked me if there can be a program on NFTs. I immediately established contact with Mr. Prashant Kataria himself and invited him to do a webinar for us, to which he has been so kind to accept. So, and now actually with reference to the NFTs, in India, NFT industry is valued at an estimated $3.3 billion with a cumulative average growth rate of 61.6%. and expected to reach an estimated 27 billion by 2028. Currently, 11 NFT companies are headquartered in India, constituting 5.02% of the total NFT companies in the world. NFT community will gain speedy momentum once the Indian government formulates specific laws and regulations for its validity. The NFT market is getting wider, and the digital economy will be boosted by the new entrants in the market for NFT. Today, the legality of such digital assets remains a major concern. Let us know from today's webinar the regulatory aspects on NFTs. Now I introduce to you our learned speaker, Mr. Prashant Kataria. He is partner at King Stab and Kasiva, advocates and attorneys in the corporate practice at Bangalore. Mr. Prashant Kataria is a corporate lawyer focused on private equity and venture capital transactions, along with mergers and acquisitions, having a cross-border angle. He has gained valuable experience in these domains, working with both in India and Singapore, and is especially involved and immersed in the new age technologies and legal framework surrounding the same. He regularly advises multinational and Indian companies on their corporate requirements, including regulatory, commercial, and legal matters across the multiple jurisdictions. I now invite Mr. Prashant Kataria to address us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prashant.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mohan. And thank you, FTCCI, for giving me this opportunity to present this webinar and speak to all of you and sort of present what NFTs are and the legal implications in and around that. Thank you so much. I think my introduction has been given so nicely by Mr. Mohan. I'll just speak a few words about my firm because my introduction has already been given. So our firm has 100+ lawyers. It has 8 offices, including one in Hyderabad. The other offices are in Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and Kochi, and Pune. So we are a full service law firm. We provide services in not just corporate, but also in disputes, litigation, arbitration, banking and finance, real estate, and intellectual property as well. So that was, in brief. So, without much further ado, I'd like to jump right into the point, the discussion that we are supposed to have. Let me share my screen. Is my, give me a minute. Is my screen visible to you or not yet?
Not yet, sir.
Yes. Okay. I think it seems to be visible now. Let me make it full screen. Is it on the entire screen? Just to confirm. Okay. So let me jump right into it. So now, what are NFTs, and how do they work? So NFTs, caught the fancy of most people, recently. This is based on the blockchain technology, which is again based on distributed ledger kind of technology, on which other digital assets like virtual currencies, digital currencies like Bitcoin, and other sort of currencies have been based. Collins Dictionary, which is one of the world's largest dictionaries, along with Merriam-Webster, they have considered the word NFT to be the word of the year 2021. This was followed by other more important words like metaverse and double-vaxxed. So that itself shows how important this word itself has become across the globe. How people are interested in finding out what this thing is, how to use it, and to use it not just for the main reason why it was sort of built, which is to have ownership rights over artwork, etc., but also for other multiple activities, which I'll touch upon a little later in my presentation as well. Now, NFTs are a unique digital certificate which are registered on blockchain, which are used to track, verify, and record the ownership of an asset or a collectible. So essentially, there is a work of art, could be music, could be photograph, could be a real collectible, like say a jacket of say George Clooney, for example, which on the basis of which an NFT is created, or they could be an image, a funny kind of image of say a bored monkey. This was quite popular, till recent times, on the basis of which NFT has been created, and that particular NFT is sold. Now, the NFT will record the inception of the artwork, what the artwork is, when it was created, who's the creator, to whom it was sold, and thenceforth, once that purchaser sells it further to the second purchaser, that also shall be recorded in the NFT itself through the blockchain. And that entire chain, that metadata, is verifiable. That cannot be altered, because it is verified based on a distributed ledger technology, which essentially means there are multiple, computers or points who will interact with each other and verify that this particular blockchain, the data in this particular blockchain is correct. So therefore, it's not like in a central repository something is stored and someone can hack it and sort of make changes to it and make the changes to the ownership record, etc. This, of course, helps in preventing pilferage, because you can't really steal it if you cannot change the ownership of the NFT itself. It also has given a lot of bragging rights to people who sort of buy these NFTs. Since this has become popular in India, let me give you an example of Amitabh Bachchan, who launched a couple of NFTs. One was around the Madhushala, which was a poem written by his father, Harivansh Rai Bachchan. It was called the Madhushala NFT, in which he narrated, spoke the lines, the paragraphs, etc. of Madhushala, and on basis on which an NFT was created, and which was sort of sold. Another NFT that was sold by Amitabh Bachchan, or rather his agents, was based on vintage posters which he had autographed. Basis on that, NFTs were created. Similarly, Jack Dorsey, who's the founder of Twitter, he had sort of sold an NFT for charitable purpose, of course, based on the first tweet he had created. That was supposed to be selling for somewhere around $48 million or something. Insane amount. But these are sort of the things that a lot of fans, lot of connoisseurs of art, etc., purchase, so that they can have bragging rights. They can show that hey, we own this particular artwork or this particular collectible, a physical collectible, and therefore there are communities already which are flourishing, digital communities to whom they can show off. They can get they can move up the chain, etc. So those kind of things are one of the reasons why NFTs have become very, very popular. Now, what to further elaborate on the same, for NFTs of the participant who wants to purchase it, he needs a crypto wallet to connect to the NFT platform. Now, once they have sort of a wallet created, they'll have to transfer a type of token. Depends. It could be cryptocurrency, it could be Ethereum, or it could be some other token, whatever is required to be transacted in. Because in these cases, it's not the transaction is not in INR or pound sterling or US dollars, etc., but it's in token. So whatever token is required, that token needs to be used to buy the NFT. And once the NFT is acquired, that can be stored in this particular crypto wallet. So that's how it sort of has been working of late. Also wanted to clarify that there is a distinction between cryptocurrencies and NFTs. While a lot of in general parlance, general talk, people say that they use both the terms in the same sentence, but they're not the same. Cryptocurrencies are kind of a currency, of course, by their nomenclature. They have value in real currency, or rather they are a substitute for real currency, and hence they're called fungible. Whereas an NFT is just a proof of ownership of an artwork or collectible, and which cannot be subdivided, of course. Whereas a cryptocurrency can be subdivided. For example, you can go and purchase 0.001 Bitcoin, whereas you can't really purchase a part of an NFT, because NFT is just a proof of ownership of, for example, an image of Mona Lisa drawn in the digital form or in some artistic form. So therefore, it's called non-fungible. There are a couple of other use cases of NFTs as well, which I was mentioning earlier. Some of them are to provide authenticity and tracing for digital and physical goods, for ensuring that the luxury goods, some of these Louis Vuitton bags and stuff like that, they can go into hundreds and thousands of dollars, the value, to ensure that authenticity is proven. And in the supply chain sort of management, in ticketing for a large event, wherein nobody can sort of alter the ticket, etc., and and the chain of authenticity is sort of retained through this particular technology, through this NFT. So just a couple of use cases that people, companies have been utilizing, across the globe. Let's now jump right into the legal implications, or rather, some of these legal issues that surround NFTs. Of late, in the parliament, there was a bill supposed to be introduced. This was called the Cryptocurrency and Regulation of Official Digital Currency Bill. Unfortunately, this bill was not introduced, though there was a lot of talk around it. However, would be pertinent to mention that in the bulletin of Lok Sabha was printed, and that's available on the website of the Lok Sabha as well. On November 23rd, 2021, they had mentioned that this particular bill will be introduced, and they had given a description about this particular bill. So along with other things, they also mentioned that this bill shall, I'm just quoting it, allow for certain exceptions to promote the underlying technology of cryptocurrency and its uses. So this is coming directly from the government, right? So here it's very heartening to, it was very heartening to see this particular description, because here they are trying to make a carve out, an exception to the technology itself from cryptocurrencies. So, and we all know, and it's been the the sentiment of the government and of the RBI that cryptocurrencies are not the best thing. I mean, there have been enough discussions, enough words spoken that the government may not be too pro cryptocurrencies, but through this particular bill, once it is presented before the parliament and becomes a law, hopefully sometime in the near future, they probably will carve out the technology itself. The technology is the one on which NFTs are based, and therefore we are hopeful that this should give a lot of legitimacy to NFTs and similar such use of blockchain technology. Touching on that, there was a circular issued by the Reserve Bank of India earlier, which had asked banks not to deal with or provide any services to entities dealing with virtual currencies. Now, this had become a major pain point due to this. The cryptocurrency exchanges, the operators, etc., they could not really have a bank account. They could not do banking transactions. So after that, they went to the court, and eventually the Supreme Court decided on the same in 2020. And in the judgment of Internet and Mobile Association of India versus Reserve Bank of India, they clearly said that so long as these entities, these companies, do proper due diligence for transaction in virtual currency, the banks should not stop dealing with them. And therefore, since a Supreme Court judgment was made, the RBI came out with another circular on May 31st, 2021, last year, which permitted this. So because of this, what had happened is that now the banks are able to deal with these companies who are doing transactions in virtual currency, so long as they follow the regulations relating to anti-money laundering, foreign exchange management regulations, and combating of financing of terrorism. So essentially, the things that the state is really concerned about, danger to the country, terrorism, money laundering, etc., those kind of things. So this was another major change that came about, which is also very heartening in a way. So in light of this, would just like to mention that the entities or companies which are in this business should ensure that they are compliant with the KYC norms, the Know Your Client, and ensure that that proper due diligence is conducted. Because that has to be conducted by the bank as well, but the onus also lies a fair bit on these companies as well. Next is the main part, rather, about the ownership, right, or ownership of these NFTs. So that clearly comes out from the Copyright Act, sections 14 and 19. Now, NFTs mostly represent the underlying digital art form, right? So and therefore, an NFT is considered to be a copy or a token of the original work of art. So therefore, the Copyright Act clearly comes into the play. And it's pertinent to note that Section 19 of the Copyright Act says that a written sale contract has to specifically state and explicitly rather state that an assignment of copyright is being done to ensure that transfer of copyright happens legally under the Copyright Act. Now, in light of NFTs, what a lot of times I've seen happening is that they just have a normal kind of a contract. They transfer the NFT purchase, money is exchanged, etc., whatever token is exchanged, and then the question then comes around the ownership, the validity of ownership under the Copyright Act. So therefore, what is essential here is to have this clear written sale contract which explicitly assigns the copyright. So if you have that, then you should be, shipshape under the Copyright Act with respect to the ownership. Similarly, with respect to Section 14, which says that only the owner of any artwork has the right to reproduce and distribute copies of the same. Similar language should also be built into the contract for purchase or sale of the NFT to ensure that in case of any third party, sort of copying it or breaching sort of the ownership, etc. So in that case, the owner who's got the copyright, etc. He would also be having the right to move for an injunction against this errant party. So these couple of considerations are something that ought to be kept in mind to ensure that the ownership is solid. Coming to the Indian Contract Act. Now, the Indian Contract Act is as we all know, is the primary legislation which governs all contracts in the country, including the smart contracts. Now, smart contracts are typically used for these NFTs. They typically contain the terms of the license, the limitation of the copyright, royalties, payment obligations, and they record that entire chain of ownership transfers, etc. And so for a contract to be valid in India, this needs to have three pillars. One is offer, acceptance, and consideration. So typically in case of a smart contract in a regular transaction, the first two pillars are sort of taken care of, which is offer by the seller of the NFT. Second is the acceptance, which is acceptance by the buyer of this particular NFT. Now coming to the third pillar, which is consideration. Now the issue sort of crops up here. Now for a consideration to be valid, it needs to be valid under Indian laws. Now technically in India, the cryptocurrencies and as I had mentioned earlier, in case of purchase of an NFT, typically virtual currencies are used. So if a virtual currency is used for say purchase of an NFT, and therefore it comes under the head of consideration, the questions start popping up whether it was a proper consideration under Indian laws, or whether it is something that is not permissible, and therefore this third pillar of a valid Indian contract has been not fulfilled. Now this is something that once it comes before maybe a court of law and the court decides on the same, there will be more clarity. Or if the bill is passed and we have some form of clarity on the same, we could with certainty say that this third leg, which is consideration, is being fulfilled as well, despite the fact that a cryptocurrency has been used for the payment itself. But till that time, I think the jury is out there. We really can't say whether the third piece, which is consideration, is kind of fulfilled by the payment via cryptocurrency itself. Coming to the Securities Contract Regulation Act, this is also something that mostly lawyers and academia has been sort of discussing. because the Securities Contract Regulation Act deals with derivatives. Now, derivatives are defined as a contract whose value is derived from the price of an underlying security. A lot of folks have been saying that an NFT comes under the definition of a derivative. Therefore, the SCRA, which is the Securities Contract Regulation Act, would be applicable to it. Now, the problem comes is because Section 18A of the SCRA clearly says that you cannot trade a derivative on a virtual platform. Now, if an NFT is considered to be a derivative and it's traded on a virtual platform, that is not permissible. And by definition or by the design itself, an NFT is always sort of traded on a virtual platform. However, there is another school of thought which says that NFT is merely a reference to the existing asset, which it represents, and it's typically used as proof of its authenticity. And therefore, to classify it as a derivative would be incorrect. And therefore, the SCRA, the Securities Contract Regulation Act, would not really be applicable. Now, that again is sort of a conundrum. There are two schools of thought. This thing has not really come before the regulator, the SEBI, or before a court of law. In the event if it comes up, we'll have to see how they interpret this issue. But personally, I'm of the view that the latter sort of argument should hold more water, which is that it is just referencing an existing asset, and used as a proof of ownership, and not really as a derivative as it's defined under the SCRA. And therefore, the restriction on not being traded on a virtual platform should not really apply to it. Coming to taxation, as we are aware, any tax law typically is based on the type of underlying assets. In most cases, that's how it works, and that's what is how the tax treatment is done. In case of NFTs, for say either income tax or goods and service tax purpose, if there is a digital art NFT, which is most common form of NFT that we see, it could be treated as an intangible asset or a good. Now, if that is the stance taken by the tax authorities, then appropriate tax would have to be paid on the same. However, as we all know, in the last budget, through which the Income Tax Act was amended through the Finance Act, they have defined virtual digital assets, and in detail, right? So under virtual digital assets, they have also included NFTs. So therefore, that 30% tax, which was applicable sort of on cryptocurrencies, etc., is also now applicable on NFTs. That is yes, it is a substantially high rate of taxation, but that's the tax rate that the government has decided to sort of impose at the moment. As we go forward, maybe a couple of years, once the bill that we were speaking about, the cryptocurrency and official digital currency bill, sort of comes into force, once it's discussed and becomes an act, hopefully the taxation rate or the revenue authorities may have a relook at it and may perhaps sort of change the taxation rate, etc. But till that time, that is the case. And another point on taxation is that typically, and in case of an NFT, the three main parties, which is the NFT seller, NFT buyer, and the NFT platform, they typically are in different jurisdictions. Now, in case of sale of NFT by an offshore seller to an Indian buyer through an offshore NFT, so in that case, there may also be a 2% equalization levy or fee. That would typically be based on the NFT's gross value and the marketplace, which is situated outside the country, their income from the Indian customer. So this equalization levy would also be applicable in most cases, is what a lot of tax experts have said. So that should also be borne in mind while doing such transactions, and appropriate tax advice should also be taken to ensure that such things don't pop up at a later stage, and when and therefore sort of erode your the value that you may have gained from such a transaction. Enforcement is another issue. Like I mentioned, most parties are in different jurisdictions, so therefore in case of any dispute or any pilferage, any fraud, any theft, it becomes a question on which country would have, or the courts in which country would have jurisdiction. And furthermore, even if a country has decided, that it has the jurisdiction, and the case, goes forward and decided upon, how do you enforce that particular decree in the other state, and against, basically against, say, the marketplace, or against the seller of such NFT? So that those questions have also arisen. Those also, we hope that, going forward, once such issues come up, people go to the courts, and ask the regulators to clarify on the same. Those should also be sort of clarified. That's the hope. Just want to touch upon a couple of other issues. They are not really legal issues, but important nonetheless. So environmental impact of NFTs, that is pretty huge. In fact, for any typical NFT sort of transaction, so much energy is used, which is equivalent to driving a car for around 1,000 kilometers, or flying an aeroplane for 2 hours. So that's a lot of carbon footprint that you have. Now, why does this happen? This is basically because the way blockchain technology, as we know it right now, the Ethereum blockchain, that is structured, which essentially uses a lot of computing power to ensure that the blockchain is intact. So that, because of that itself, a lot of energy is spent. Electricity. What I meant by energy, I meant electricity, and because of that, most electricity is generated using fossil fuel in most countries, and so therefore it has a huge carbon footprint. So that is called proof of work sort of based blockchain. There is another form of blockchain technology which is called flow blockchain technology that has been discussed by a lot of proponents of the same, that uses much less energy. However, it's a more centralized sort of system that is being discussed, an alternative to this energy guzzling system. Many companies who have a lot of ESG and CSR, which is environmental, social responsibility, those kind of goals, etc. They already are looking at this alternate sort of flow blockchain technology, positively, to ensure that so much energy is not really used while NFTs are being traded, are being exchanged, etc. There have also been a fair number of scams. That is common for any new sort of technology where a huge number of amount is being exchanged and the valuation goes through the roof. There have been scams like overnight disappearance of the creators of Frosties, or a collection of animated penguins who used to wear colorful clothes, etc. And due to that, around $1.3 million was wiped out. And as late as February of this year, 2022, there was OpenSea, which is a very significant NFT platform. They made a statement saying that a phishing attack happened, due to which 32 users lost collectively about 1.7 million worth of NFTs. So, and there are a fair number of other scams and schemes that happen in the NFT space. So therefore, the idea, what I wanted to put forth was that, as in case of any new sort of technology, there will be people who try to take benefit of others. So therefore, you should keep your eyes open. In case you suffer any loss or anything, I mean, the typical way would be, typical remedy would be, to go to through the cyber cell and through the regular, enforcement, law enforcement channels, because that's the only option available at the moment, because there is no independent act to govern these kind of new technologies or losses, scams, pilferage, etc., emanating from the same. So in the end, all I would say is that there is this Latin term called caveat emptor, which means buyers beware. So if you are a buyer, and that would be the case if you are spending money and trying to acquire, say, an NFT, you should beware, be wary of everything. Do your diligence, ensure that you are on the right side of the law as far as possible. Though I know there are a lot of gray areas, there are thin lines which divide what may be black and what may be white, etc. But try to be as far as possible on the right side of the law, and ensure that you are safe from these scams, etc., which are quite prevalent at the moment. So, caveat emptor is what I'd say. With that, I just want to wrap up my brief sort of overview on NFTs and the legal sort of structures surrounding the same. Like I mentioned, we have 8 offices. We have one in Hyderabad as well. I am based out of Bangalore, and we'll be happy to discuss the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prashant. Now the floor is open for question and answer. Participants who would like to ask question, they can raise or they can put their query in the chat box, and our learned speaker will clarify on those.
Shanji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is regarding Madhushala.
Yes.
As we were discussing, Amitabh Bachchan has sold that, or he has converted that into NFTs?
So NFT was created, and the last I checked on the website, it's been sold.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it was sold in cryptocurrency only then?
I am assuming so, because once you log in and go into the details, etc., you would be able to find out. But typically, that's how NFTs work. NFTs are listed on a platform, NFT platform, and typically tokens or virtual currency is used to sort of purchase. Now, to purchase those virtual currency, of course, as we all know, if you and me, we want to buy, say, okay, buying 1 Bitcoin is a lot of money, but if you want to buy 0.001% 1 Bitcoin, we'll need to pay Indian rupees, right? And then sort of purchase. So I'm assuming the similar kind of flow happened in those cases as well.
But cryptos itself, I think they are in trouble and ambiguity is there.
Absolutely.
And our government is also not encouraging.
Yeah.
And recently that FTX has happened.
Right. That was a big, big stuff.
So you are creating a digital asset, and again that cryptocurrency itself is going off, means then your asset is also gone and money has also gone.
Correct. But at the same time, like I mentioned, in the Finance Act which was released in March or something, in the budget, they have defined virtual digital sort of assets very widely. And they also would include stable coins or stable currencies. For example, the Reserve Bank of India is supposed to come out with another sort of virtual currency, which is sort of based on Indian rupee. So that would have the backing of the state. Similarly, certain stable coins have been issued by other countries, by the state government as well. So technology is there. It's an evolving sort of arena. Yes, there have been major issues with respect to sort of Bitcoin, the FTX debacle, and Alameda trading, which was sort of owned by SBF. By this Friedman guy. I think there was a lot of bad faith. They used the sort of cryptocurrency, or rather the assets of the folks who were on their platform, and used it for some other purpose to leverage it. So there was a lot of bad faith. I think this is more a case of, say, I don't want to go into the details, but maybe fraud, etc., those kind of things. And that's the reason why the value sort of rose through the roof. A lot of investors, we're all gaga about them. And I mean, it's been in the news as well. Great, pretty famous funds like, say, funds in the Silicon Valley, they have apologized to their limited partners about not probably doing sufficient due diligence on this gentleman I mean, I'm just using the term. I mean,
Yeah.
it's left to you and me to decide whether he's a gentleman or not. But anyway, so this gentleman, how he was able to create this facade to sort of play around between these two entities, FTX and Alameda Trading. And he ensured that one was in Bermuda, one was in Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, he moved it to another jurisdiction. How the entire sort of funds were sort of moved here and there, whether proper channels were followed, corporate governance norms. I don't believe anything was done. So therefore, this entire debacle happened.
Yeah. But anyhow, crypto, it's also highly volatile.
It is.
It's highly volatile.
It is definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Mr. Prashant, can there be transaction digital rupee transactions for NFTs?
Digital, I don't believe. By digital rupee, you mean you upload Indian rupee, you use your Indian bank account to do the NFT transaction. That's what you're saying.
The proposed digital currency, digital rupee.
Once the RBI comes out, sort of with the CDC is what they are calling it, I think. If that comes out, maybe that could be used, because it would technically be a virtual currency. It could be used, but as of now, how say these NFT platforms like OpenSea, for example, how they are structured is that they only use these virtual currencies and tokens to sort of execute the transaction on the blockchain. This is how as of now it's structured. But I think it's a very evolving sort of arena. It's changing almost every other month or every couple of months. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next, maybe the first quarter of next year itself, something like this sort of comes up where they sort of allow this as well. And like I said, see, the technology is sound. The underlying technology, which is the blockchain technology, to sort of record the ownership in anything which is, say, a digital art, or say any collectible which it represents, and it prevents pilferage, etc. Those kind of benefits that we discussed in detail. So just to sort of kill it, because there is this element of virtual currency involved, maybe not the wisest of decision. But we'll see how the entire scenario sort of unfolds. But the technology is good. It is being used. I know the blockchain technology is being used in your state as well. I'm sure it's being used in a lot of areas, but I know for a fact it's being used by the law enforcement as well to record sort of people coming into lodges and hotels, etc. So there was a pilot project done around that using blockchain technology, so that no one can change those records in tomorrow's date.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
In fact, sir, blockchain, when it was introduced, we at FTCCI did programs on the blockchain technology to create awareness.
Right.
Focusing on the education sector, agriculture sector, pharma. So who is sector specific, we did programs on the blockchain technology.
As early as in 2018 itself.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So that's you were like early proponent, because that time, or just a year before that, is when this thing really sort of took off, had taken off. That's amazing. Very future looking. Things that you guys at Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industries have done. Kudos to you.
Yeah. So FTCCI has always take a lead wherever the new technology come up. Right. We try to inculcate and create awareness among the members so that they can get acquainted with that.
Lovely. That's fantastic to know.
So there are
some questions on the chart. Will you look at
Yes,
them?
please, Mohan Raidu.
Yeah. Is there any GST implications on the purchase or sale of NFTs? Gupta is asking.
Okay.
Mr.
So like I had touched upon this briefly. So there could be implications because like I mentioned, it's the inherent nature of the asset, which the underlying asset, which which ensures that the tax treatment, how it's done. For example, in case of digital art NFT, could be considered as an intangible asset. So therefore, the relevant GST implication could be applicable. That the GST expert would be sort of be able to answer, because in the end, the revenue authorities, and I think this is common across the country, so long as they are able to charge a tax on any transaction, they will go ahead and charge it. And after that, it's left to you to challenge it, go in appeal, etc., run from pillar to post. But they will ensure that they charge you a tax on the same. So I believe that that GST implication could be there on these transactions.
That is once the NFT becomes official, isn't it?
See, but I'll tell you what interesting point that you raised. When the 30% tax was introduced in the finance bill on these cryptocurrencies, etc., there was a huge group of proponents and founders of these NFT, of these cryptocurrency platforms and exchanges. They all went, said that hey, now the government is taxing, so therefore they have legitimized us, they have done this, they have done that. They were all sort of patting their own backs and happy about it. But I think a couple of months later, there was this senior official, a secretary level of official from the Ministry of Finance, who in a Q&A session clarified that just because the Indian state taxes something does not mean that we have given a legitimate authority to it. So that sort of took out the wind from under the sails. So yeah, just because it's taxed doesn't mean that these. I'm talking about cryptocurrencies that they are sort of have been legitimized. That still is a gray area, and hopefully that should be clarified, because there is a lot of lobbying happening around that as well.
Mr. Balaji Rajendran says, is there any country where this is recognized?
See, to be very honest, no. Most countries have none of the countries have sort of banned NFTs. NFTs, like I mentioned, are something which is a proof of ownership. It records the flow of ownership when something is created and it's transferred to person from the creator to person A, from person A to person B, from person to person C. Entire flow of ownership is sort of tracked. So there is no what most countries they only give legal recognition in case there is something which is inherently maybe illegal or could be illegal around that. In this case, I don't believe there is anything which is patently sort of against the letter of the law or against the public policy as such. So therefore, in most countries, NFTs have been sort of being used. The only issue, like I mentioned, and the gray area is around the use of cryptocurrencies to purchase these NFTs. Now that is something that a lot of countries are not on the same page. Countries like Dubai, countries like Singapore, they have made enough noises in the recent past, maybe last 6 months or so, saying that we want to be the hubs for cryptocurrency, for these Web3. They call this all Web3 technology, Web3 kind of technologies, etc. But still in the works. They have not brought out any legislation as such. So it's all sort of fluid, very fluid. But in case of NFTs, I don't think it's. I mean, anyone has specifically gone out and said hey, this is completely legal, because it's sort of it doesn't break the laws as such.
Are you able to access the chart?
Yes, I am. Just the provenance of a NFT is to establish before a valuation. I didn't quite understand that question, but yes, valuation of the NFT is left to the person who's purchasing it. If and frankly, it has been crazy. There was this bunch of NFTs which were created on Board Monkey, for example, and I believe Justin Bieber also bought one. A lot of guys, folks bought, and then the value what they bought was more than $100,000, etc. Now the value of those particular NFTs has gone down to maybe a few $100. So you can see how many X times the valuation has gone down. So to value an NFT, it's left to the it's a free market, right? So I, as a creator, I can create an NFT based on some random sketch, drawing, or photograph, etc. Whatever I take and say, that's for 5 crores. Now it's left for you as a purchaser to see the value in it. If I am MF Hussain, yes, there will be a value. But if I am, say, just Prashant Kataria, I'm not an artist. I mean, then it will be silly for you to purchase it for, say, 5 crores. So valuation is sort of works like that. Coming to Mr. Sharat Babu.
Sharat Babu
Does the physical owner of the asset also gets a share whenever there is a trade on the associated NFT? Assume Mr. A is owning an antique piece. Mr. B is authorized to transact the digital form of the same. The digital form gets traded. Will there be an incentive to the actual owner? Okay, so there are two kinds of sort of NFTs. One is, say, the NFT which has the antique itself, the physical antique. For example, a teapot, 18th century teapot from which, say, Queen Victoria had her tea, etc. So that basis that if there is that is a collectible, that's a physical thing. Basis that if there is an NFT, once that is transacted, sort of that is a proof of ownership of that particular collectible. So that sort of goes to the purchaser, of course, clearly. Now, if there is a photograph taken of this particular teapot and it has been altered by the owner, using some Photoshop, or put some colors, put a monkey on top of it, or some artistic thing, let's put it that way, and that becomes an art form based on an NFT is created, and that particular thing is sold to a person. In that case, that person who's buying it is not really buying that teapot, he's buying that art form. So he'll get the right to that particular art form, and he has to, in his mind, give a value to that particular art form on what that particular thing is. So that it's two different things. One is the basic physical collectible. In that case, the ownership directly transfers. And in case of an art form, it's the art form that sort of goes to the purchaser. Is blockchain technology used in India today? Yes, like I mentioned, in your state of Telangana itself, I know of this technology being used by the law enforcement authorities in recording the guests who come into, say, lodges, hotels, or such kind of places, when they come in, when they leave, etc., so that a proper legal record is maintained on a blockchain, which no one can sort of alter, change. So this helps in ensuring that in case a month later some issue happens, say a pilferage, or say a terrorist act, or whatever, I mean, something illegal happens, they can go to the records and check it with a certainty that nobody has been able to change the records of who particularly came and stayed in this particular place for what duration, etc., those kind of things. So and there are a lot of other uses of the blockchain technology that have been happening, like in case of supply chain. Once a particular good container leaves a certain location, and on the blockchain, once it reaches point B, it is recorded from point B to point C. It is recorded, and the condition of the container is also recorded, so that there is no. It's proven that it's not been tampered with, it's not been opened. So those kind of things have also been regularly being used. See, use of technology, which is blockchain technology, is it's sky's the limit. It's to ensure that the chain is sort of intact. Someone later can verify that at each point in time, this particular event happened with respect to that particular object. So I mean, it's being used in India and across the world as well, with respect to these luxury goods as well, like I mentioned earlier. I think that's all the questions I could scroll through.
That's the last question.
Yes.
And thank you, Mr. Kataria.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure speaking to you all and the participants as well. Thank you for your time. And would love to be in touch and speak on such new age technologies and share thoughts, etc. Thank you so much for your time, all of you.
Sir,
Thank you,
sir,
all participants.
we also bring out our publication, which consists of articles of interest to the industry and trade. Maybe
Sure.
some article on this NFT you can share with us, and we will publish in the magazine.
I'll connect with you on the same. We'll be happy to do that.
Yeah. We have with us Mr. Meela Jaidev, Senior Vice President FTCCI. I request him to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Kutanai. And I'm thank you very much, President Sir and other members. I'm extremely happy to propose hearty vote of thanks to Mr. Prashant Kataria, partner, Kingstop Kasiva Advocates and Autonomous in the corporate practice, Bangalore, for sparing his valuable time and addressing the participants. We never forgot this. It will help to our members, all the help to the members, and it will be very nice. We hope this event would be benefited to our participants. Next time we will go to the more participants, we will arrange that. On behalf of all of my own behalf of my sincere thanks to all participants for their gracious presence, and thank you one all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
nice
very
day.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.